Hello and what's up, guys? It is your big guy, Daddy Africa, and I want to welcome you to another new and exciting episode on my talk with Daddy Africa. And on this new episode, I have an amazing guest with me. We are doing part 2 of the conversation that we had earlier on gender-based violence. And with that, let's get into it. So guys, as I have told you, we are going to do a part 2 of the conversation like we had earlier on gender-based violence. For those who missed that episode, I'm going to let her introduce herself again and we dive into that conversation. Karibu sana.
My name is Wamucii, Catherine Ndegwa. I am the CEO, a founder of Voices Against Violence, also the University of Nairobi brand ambassador, and the Kenya University Student Organization ambassador, and I'm happy to be here.
Guys, as you've had just those titles, that is just the perfect guest to have on having such a conversation. And you're very enthusiastic about fighting for those people who are being violated. So the first pointer we're going to use in this episode is the norms that are there in gender-based violence, like in the violation. Could you mention a few of those norms that people need to be aware of?
I wish to understand when you say norms is like normalized.
Yes, things that have been normalized by people.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So many negative things have been normalized over the years.
Yeah.
We can start by saying how anger issues have become a very normalized situation, especially let's say in relationships, that people will kill, people will abuse their spouses or the people they're with, and they will take it on. I was angry, I can't control myself, that's how I am, that's how I was made, I can't change who I am. And mostly that is what people use against others. But we can talk about the things that randomly, let's say that even emotionally, because we are talking about violence in all forms. Emotionally, people have become narcissists. Narcissists are people who directly use their own negativity on other people. They reflect on them, and then people they tend to become weak by what those people have done. Like, they will show their negativity on you. Like, let's say I'm a narcissist and I don't like how I am. I have a lot of self-esteem issues, and I'll come, yes, we are together, I didn't show you all these situations at first, and I'll be saying, why are you looking so ugly, over and over, because that is how I see myself. And then reflect it on you. Now emotionally, you're going to be disturbed, you're going to be destroyed. What you once came to be a beautiful thing is completely destroyed. And such things have been normalized, and it's so unfair, because the society is showing that this is how we're supposed to be. Toxicity in men. I cannot watch a lady talk back at me. I must hit her because I am supposed to look like a man. Than walking away or seeming to be, I understand, I'll move away, because that is naturally how you're supposed to react. If this person is showing a negative side, you better disengage. But people will be huwezi niongelesha hivyo. I'd rather do something about it, and that is not fair.
And also to make emphasis on the point you say that normalizing, where men have normalized just hitting a woman. And I'd like to tell my viewers that once you decide to lay a hand on a lady, that does not make you a better man at it, or you're trying to show you're a strong man. That just shows how less of a man you are, because you need to treat ladies the way you'd want your mother, the way you'd want your sister to be treated, right? So because just try to be humane, just do what you want to be done on you, do it to others. And another thing was on toxic relationships, because this is something that is in older generation, it is the youth, the teenagers getting into toxic relationships, and they're not able to get out of them. You get me? So what about toxic relationships? How should we go about it with whenever one is into a toxic relationship?
I will not lie.
Yes.
I am not an expert.
Yeah, definitely.
And I will say that I have also experienced toxic relationships, and it's unfair. It's weird. Anyway, these toxic relationships are quite many. It's very hard to find very healthy relationships, as you have said, even in the older generation.
Yeah.
And toxic relationships start. You'll never have the red flag at first. You'll never see it, maybe because you're blinded by love or lust that has guided you there.
Yeah. Or when the relationship is
Never
beaming you,
honeymoon
your eyes
phase.
are covered, and then you do not know.
Yeah, the honeymoon phase.
Uh-huh.
So, what you check into toxic relationships, the red flags as we call it nowadays, is about the lack of trust, the negative comments that come on and off, the bounce of anger that come over very silly or small, how do you say this? These small arguments that come within the lack. I've talked about lack of trust.
Yeah.
The narcissism that happens a lot in toxic relationships, and how people to look out for them is by seeing those red flags. Like I'll say, I didn't see my red flags when I was having such a situation.
Yeah.
And most times those people who are toxic, they make you feel like
they victimize themselves.
They make you feel like they do victimize themselves, so that you feel like you're the person who has done the wrong all the time, and so you need to apologize. You can't leave them because you feel like you're the bad person. There's something else I wanted to talk about. Anyway, those
okay, as maybe probably you try to remember about that point, there are times in relationships, I bet this happens a lot with guys, apologizing when you're not even the one who was wrong.
Yes.
Yeah.
The guys or any of the genders.
Could we agree, or maybe even agree to disagree, that should one make an apology when even they're not wrong? To try in the situation possibly to calm things down or cool things down.
See, already that is a toxic relationship, because if you know you are not wrong, and the other person has refused to calm down and say, yes, I know I have wronged you, I have done this particular wrong, forgive me, that is already toxic. And for you to be the good person taking the higher road, saying that I'm sorry, and you don't understand why. And mostly now, what has been normalized, let me just get you back there. What has been normalized is how women have been taken, thanks to social media. This is where the social media has taken a turn. The negative side of social media is making people see like 90% of things are like this, 90% of that is like this. Like now, we see 90% of what the social media shows is men should be toxic, this toxic masculinity. We should do this because we are men, we are strong. I will not fumble. And the ladies are taken to be, I will not apologize. I'm a lady. I need you to apologize to me.
I'm a bad ass.
Yes. And that has shown. Now, what for me, I'll take it from, because I'm consuming a lot of things from the social media. I will go into a relationship when this person, I know I have wronged them, but because this is what we are showing, like I will disappoint my other ladies. I have to be dramatic. I have to say, I am not going to say sorry. You're the one to tell me sorry. I know I'm the one wrong deep down, but I will not. And that is wrong. That is very toxic. That is what the social media has shown us.
Yeah.
And that And to add, that is what social media has impacted a lot of relationships in what is
Yeah,
happening because of
definitely.
the consumption that they're seeing from every type of media. And most of these things are they're false. What you're
Yeah,
being shown is false. That's not what is happening, but because you have consumed it, you will do it.
yeah.
Yes.
Also a norm that I just remembered is sexualization of ladies that has been happening with social media.
Yeah.
It's also the one of the negative sides of social media. As much as social media has brought a lot of positivity, sexualizing is, I think, also kind of a violation of people. So yeah, the last bit of the conversation will be on the steps one needs to follow when they have been violated. So, like when you're running your initiative and organization, Voices Against Violence, what are some of those steps that you have advised people to follow whenever this happens?
Okay, thank you for that question.
Yes.
And the steps to be taken are usually difficult at times, especially in toxic. That is for the people who are together. Toxic relationships. Of course, the primary goal for you to do is to leave, and it's usually hard because such people, as we have said, victimize themselves or victimize you, and it will be so hard for you to leave. But once you have recognized, go check in your internet, Google, check for those red flags, for those toxic behaviors. Once you recognize this is what has been happening, leave. It is so painful. It is. I do know myself. And once you leave that, you'll go back in your mind, and you'll think, why did I do this to myself? Because you're higher and you're more respectable than that, and you need to take yourself with high esteem. To recognize that, one, I don't need to be in such a relationship to become a better person.
Yeah.
And abuses that have come, okay, from not toxic relationships, abuse that we have recognized with the initiative. One, if it is something as bad as domestic violence, that you're either beaten, sexually abused, go to the police. They have that center and they are very good at that. That is at least where I know they're 100% trustworthy in handling, that they're going to handle your case well. They can give you this thing that is called restriction for someone to come in.
The restraining order.
Yes, they give you restraining orders for such abusers. If it is as bad, go to the hospital. And also, if you need therapeutic time, you can also contact Voices Against Violence.
Yeah.
We have counselors and also safe spaces. The people who have gone through that, you must know that you're not alone. Even in toxic relationships, as I've said, my own, you have safe spaces that you can talk about. And especially when people come to talk about it, when they have such situations together, it brings peace, that you're not alone. You have sisterhood, you have brotherhood together, and it gives you a lot of peace. As long as you're in a toxic relationship, you will not get better. You have to leave.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And this conversation would go for hours. And guys, thank you so much for watching this episode and getting to the end of this episode. And I'll leave a description down below where people can find Voices Against Violence. That was on Twitter and also on Facebook and Instagram.
Yeah.
And guys, thank you so much for tuning in on my talk with Daddy Africa. Please remember to share, like, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Kwaheri, tukutane tena.